Welcome, everyone, to the Rotary Club of York. It is a great day to be a Rotarian, and it is both a privilege and a pleasure to be your president, Aaron Jacobs. Today is an extra special day for our club because we will, once and for all, answer the age-old question, who let the dogs out? You know, dogs more than any other animal understand what it means when we say service above self. But what this dog over here, Stratton, may not understand is when we say the four-way test. So for the dog's sake, let us together recite the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? As you can tell, I'm really excited about today's program, but we have to get things started right by opening with My Country 'Tis of Thee in the Pledge by Leanne Wilson, followed by the invocation from Kelly Gibson and visitor introductions from Tom Barton. Leanne.
Rotarians and guests, please join me. What did we say? My country tis?
Who let the dogs out?
My country tis of thee. My country tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the Pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. President Aaron, would you join me on stage quickly, please?
Okay.
So I want you to know that I read the announcer, and I saw tomorrow is a special day. So everyone please join in singing happy birthday to our president. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Aaron. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Please prepare yourself for prayer in the manner to which you are accustomed. From ancient mythologies to contemporary spiritual practices, dogs play a role in the religion, myths, tales, and legends of many cultures. Our collective belief in the faithfulness, loyalty, and dedication of dogs comes from these religious teachings. In Hinduism, it is believed that the dog is a messenger of Yama, the god of death, and dogs guard the doors of heaven. They are worshipped as part of a 5-day Tihar festival that happens in November every year. The dog is one of 12 animals honored in Chinese astrology. The second day of the Lunar New Year is known as the birthday of all dogs. It is the custom of Asian countries that celebrate Lunar New Year to feed pets and strays well on this day. In Christianity, Saint Roch, who lived in the early 1300s in France, is the patron saint of dogs. It is said that he caught the Black Plague while doing charitable work and went into the forest expecting to die. There he was befriended by a dog which licked his sores and brought him food, and he was able to recover. In fact, the breed of dog we will hear about today has a religious pedigree. The Abbey of St. Peter in the Ardennes of France was home to Saint Hubert, patron saint of hunting. Hounds bred there in 700 AD are the direct ancestors of the bloodhound we will learn about today. We give thanks for our guest speakers from Summit Search and Rescue who will share more about this amazing breed and their tenacity and determination in their work. Let us also give thanks for the tenacious and determined hands that made the meal we share today in fellowship and friendship. All this we pray. Amen.
So first, a little brain agility test for the aged Aaron. Pay attention. How many software engineers does it take to change a broken light bulb? Software engineers. How many software engineers is it?
Software engineers that we have in the room? 3.
Wrong. The answer is 0. It's a hardware problem.
John.
Software engineer. Okay. All right. We'll test you next year. Okay. I'm pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Aaron has welcomed you. So, visiting Rotarians, we have one, Scott Stevens. Stand and remain standing. And our guests are Kathy Dempsey, guest of new member. Okay, our new member. And we have Yanel Vega Casiano, guest of youth leadership. Carla Casiano, guest of youth leadership. Alex Hernandez, guest of youth leadership. Shiloh Valencia, guest of youth leadership. Charisse Torres, guest of youth leadership. Jacqueline Smith, again, a guest of youth leadership. Steve Little, guest of youth leadership. Terry Travers, guest of JT Hand. Jennifer Bird, guest of Sean Skihan. Jim Johnson, guest of Sarah Bradley. Pai Bastari, guest of, well, Youth Exchange. Welcome. Aya Klein, again, Youth Exchange. And Gabby Felipe, Youth Exchange. Vicky Reno, guest of Amanda Hardin. Jason McSherry, guest of Bobby Ann DeLeo, excuse me, Bobby Ann. Elisa Kratz, guest of Chris. Toph. Help me on that one. Okay, don't vote. Lee Hall, guest of Chris. Top, same one. And that's it. Give me a break. Okay.
Is that it?
President Aaron.
Tom, how many engineers does it take to properly read the visitor introductions? These meetings are going downhill as the year progresses if you haven't been paying attention. But seriously, I've been putting out the call for you to invite members and guests to join us, and I'm so glad that you're listening. And this is usually the time where I would call somebody out and embarrass them about membership. Steve Little, right there. Raise your hand. All right, Steve, who else here graduated or went to York High? See? I told him about being a member. He's like, what's the benefit? I'm like, you got to be among the Bearcats. So Bearcats, don't let him leave until he has a membership application today. But not only that, it's also unusual because we have a dog among us. The question is, can I convince Stratton to become a member of the Rotary Club of York? And if so, will the club allow me to do this? Stratton, I'm willing to try. But nonetheless, we welcome you as guests. Enjoy the food, fellowship, and program. Be you dog or human, we love to have you as a member someday. Rotarians, let us welcome our guests now. We got announcements. Okay. So first of all, on a more somber note, this weekend we learned with great sadness of the death of a former club member and past president, Jack Shorb. Jack Shorb passed away on February 16th at the age of 76. He was a member of the Rotary Club of York for 43 years, from 1977 until 2020. He also served as a president of our club in the years 1999 to the year 2000. Our condolences to Jack's family and his wife, Kitty. And if we could just pause a moment in silence to remember Jack. Thank you. On to more committee-related activities. The membership committee will meet February 26th. That's Monday at 4 o'clock via Zoom, or you can go to Chris's office at Fox 43, where last time he served as Panera Bread. So it's pretty nice. What a host. The Communications Committee meets February 27th at 3:30 at the Fairway Table at Regents Glen. And now I'd like to invite past President Mike Summers to the podium to take the President's challenge for the program committee. Mike.
Thank you, President Aaron. Does anybody know what the program committee does? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. Yeah, no one heard of it. The program committee meets twice a year. So we'll meet again in May. And we have about 15 to 20 people that's part of that committee. But the reality is the program committee is all of you. So we meet in May and we have about 100 program suggestions that have been suggested to us, and we will review those and we will go and make a decision on probably about 20 of them, because we'll have 3 or 4 programs that we have to do. So the program committee meets, we try to find good business programs. We're a business club, don't forget that. We try to find good community programs. We try to find good Rotary programs. We try to find good not-for-profits, which are businesses, programs. And we try to mix those all together. Now, every week, do I expect each and every one of you to go, that was the best program? I do not. But I do expect that probably 3/4 of you in the room probably thought it was a great program. And what I want is an ever increasing mix of those programs so that 3 out of 4 weeks, you think we had really good programs that week. And it'll be different for different people in the club. So that's what we do as a program committee. If you are looking for a wonderful committee, you should join us. We are definitely a fun place to be. Our meetings last basically an hour, and you get to input what we have to do each and every week as we put together these programs. Today's going to be another great program that we're going to have. This is a byproduct from President Aaron, having talked to other presidents, and they felt that this program that we're going to have today was a great program, and so we decided to run it. So that's more or less what we do. President Aaron.
Thank you, past President Mike. Let's give Mike and his committee a bit of feedback here. He said he hopes at least 3/4 of the programs are quality. Am I right in saying that they have been giving us quality programs this year? I know a big part of what Mike and his committee does is create value for our members. And frankly, it's a large part of what makes our club so important to the community. And it's really what we're known for. You know, when other clubs ask us about our size and how we do it, and I say, well, we have some of the best programs. That's how we get so many members. And they say, well, how do you get so many members? Because we have so many great programs. It's reciprocal. So thank you, Mike, to you and your committee for all the delightful programs, and we're looking forward to more to come. And now I'd like to make an announcement on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Rotary Club of York. So, a very important body of work was approved by our Board of Directors this month. Our board, on behalf of the club, has issued an anti-discrimination policy, or statement rather, to both our members and the community at large. The reason why this statement has been issued is because until now, there was no clear expectations or course of actions should our members be confronted with difficult social issues. Although the 4-way test can and should prevail in all circumstances, it does not clearly identify our policies on what can be difficult matters. I'd like to share some of the highlights from this statement, as I believe it's something that all of our members will understand, embrace, and be proud of. So some of the highlights are: the Rotary Club of York is committed to celebrating the diversity and uniqueness of all people, treating everyone with courtesy, dignity, and respect, and we expect the same from everyone we encounter. As Rotarians, we hold each other accountable and do not tolerate speech or behavior that promotes bias, discrimination, prejudice, hatred because of age, ethnicity, race, color, disabilities, religion, socioeconomic status, culture, sex, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Accordingly, we strive to ensure that our policies, procedures, and decisions related to membership, leadership, and activities are communicated truthfully and transparently without discrimination or bias. Secondly, we will treat all individuals fairly and equally. Third, we will actively cultivate an environment that promotes goodwill, understanding, and respect. And the last point is that acts of discrimination, sexual harassment, or any harassment within our club will be promptly addressed and resolved in line with our commitment to creating a safe and inclusive environment for all members. We encourage club members to report incidents of discrimination or unfair treatment to the appropriate club leaders or designated individuals who will handle them with sensitivity and confidentiality. Of course, I did not read the entire statement, but I wanted to share these highlights so that all of our club and community members understand that we hold each other accountable to the highest level of the four-way test. I congratulate and thank all those who helped to create and pass this statement, and will gladly share that with any members in its entirety. So thank you for that moment. And now I'd like to invite Matt Poff to the podium to do our Students of the Month. Matt.
Thank you, President Aaron. Good afternoon. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our Students of the Month from the William Penn Senior High School from the School District of the City of York. I'm unlikely to do better with names than our guest introductions, but I will give it my best shot. Our first honoree is Shiloh Valencia. She is a junior at William Penn and is involved in various activities, including flag football, unified track, and the talent search. When she's not at school, she enjoys doing makeup and hair, going out with her family and friends, and she loves to write. She is an honor roll student, and after high school, she intends to go to the Air Force and on to college to study criminology. Our second honoree, Yanuel Vega Casiano. He's also a junior at William Penn. He's involved in the D&D club. When he's not at school, he enjoys playing video games, investigating theology, and learning everything he can. He has received the Certificate of Achievement on the WIDA exam for multilingual learners. He was a Student of the Month in 9th grade. He's received the Certificate for Preparation and for Integrity, and he's a Distinguished Honor Roll student. And after high school, he plans on studying psychology. He's still undecided on what branch, but he is 100% sure that he wants to do something related to psychology. I think you will hear from their speeches that these are two outstanding students and they're already exemplifying the motto of service above self. So I'll invite Shiloh to come first, and then she will be followed by Janelle.
Wow, these are a lot of people. Okay. First off, I would like to start off by thanking all the faculty and staff who helped me excel academically over the years, which is Mr. Little and Ms. Smith. When I first found out that I was nominated as Student of the Month, I knew all my trials and tribulations had been paid off. Growing up, I've always been a book smart student. I took my grades very seriously, but also the quality of my work was important to me. I hold myself to a high standard because I've seen my beautiful mother strive for greatness just so her children would not have to endure any of the struggles she had to overcome growing up. I know that it can be very difficult to have these little people rely on you, especially as a single parent. I saw my mom do the best she could with what she had. Over the years, it gave me motivation to keep fighting a good fight because my role model never gave up on me despite how bad the circumstances were. My mother is my support, my encouragement, and I played a big role into shaping me into the academic student I am today. Her beliefs in my abilities and dedication to my education have motivated me to work hard, stay focused, and strive for excellence. She taught me the importance of discipline, and perseverance and the value of my education. Thanks to her guidance, I developed a strong work ethic and a passion for learning. My mom is a very big impact on my academic journey and life, and is truly inspiring to me and my siblings. Thank you.
First, I wanted to say that if I mispronounce something, please be kind. I'm still learning the language. I had no idea what was going to happen to me when I first arrived here from Puerto Rico. I never been in the nation before. I didn't know how people wear culture, costumes. I didn't know how things worked in here. The limited knowledge I possess blatantly misrepresented reality. People in here were not like TV shows, not like movies. It's not like that. I had to learn. In less than 6 months, I was able to communicate, and that helped me to understand people in here so much, to understand how things work in here. I began taking, after some time, I was out of the EL program, the English Learner programs, and I began taking honor courses. And I realized that all the goals that I have put to myself after so many problems in being here were already accomplished. So I wanted to be greedy. I wanted to do more, to make the sacrifice that my mother made for me to come here worth it. It's a little bit awkward, but I think I have already did that. I feel so much pride on what I have done. I picked up the language. I have a GPA that I am proud of. It's unclear to me how will things will have go if I will stay in my country. But I cannot change that now. To put it another way, it was a process to adjust to living here after arriving for a location where things were really different. Talking, communicating, walking, thinking again. You have to think in another language. All those things were unexpected experiences that forced me to step out of my comfort zone, and I ended up being here. Thank you very much.
There's an old saying that I always think of. It goes, lead where you are. And that's what I think of when I think of students of the month. But in these students' particular situation, I would say it a different way, and that is serve where you are, not just where you are, but through the challenges life gives you. And I think that's what's special about these students of the month is the adversity they have to go through just to achieve what they've done. So I would say to you, keep leading, keep serving, and being examples to others. Congratulations on your success. Keep up the good work, and go Bearcats. And now I'd like to invite past President Mike back to the podium to introduce, ironically, today's program. Past President Mike.
Well, you get a twofer today. Our speakers today will represent Summit Search and Rescue. Founded in 1999, Summit Search and Rescue is a not-for-profit organization that provides man-trailing bloodhounds and handler teams to law enforcement as well as state, local, and federal agencies. Averaging 80 to 90 call-outs each year, they assist in both missing persons and criminal investigation cases. Terri and Jim Heck, who are here, are the founders, and they will highlight how bloodhounds locate subjects and evidence. And they will also discuss the uniqueness of the scent of each of us and how the bloodhound uses that to find his man. Their bloodhounds have received life-saving awards and are noted for assisting in arrests in many high-profile cases. An extension of their services include animal-assisted therapy and intervention for all ages. Terry and Jim are joined today here with Detective K9 Stratton, and you will learn how the dogs and the handlers do their important tasks and search for evidence in people. Rotarians and guests, please warmly welcome Terri and Jim Heck and Detective K9 Stratton.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us. One of the most important things we do in our career with the canine is try to educate the public on how they can do their job and what they can do. You're not going to see them in police cars because they're not a cross-trained dog or a one-person trained dog. They're trained to find lost, missing people and to track criminals. And as I said, my name is Jim, his wife Terri. We started this back in '99 when I bought Terri her first bloodhound. Terry's 35 years retired veterinary technician. I'm 45-year retired law enforcement, everything from drugs to human trafficking. But Stratton's the main man right now. He's 5 years old. He weighs about 115 pounds, and he's the biggest one we've ever had. He's number 6 in our chain of bloodhounds, but he's very unique. It's almost like God created this dog to do what he can do with all his body parts. When you look at him, you see those long, dopey ears. Well, those ears serve a very important purpose. When he's searching, his ears sweep the ground and stir up the scent that he's looking for. And then you see all the loose skin. Well, he has plenty of that. On top, underneath there, very important, called the dewlap. It gets moist and wet because he drools and slobbers a lot. But moisture helps wake up scent. So as his ears sweeps the ground and stir up the scent, it all collects under there in the dewlap. And if you look when his head's up, you can see it's like a funnel right up to his nostrils the whole time. So he's carrying the scent that he's looking for in front of him the whole time. When he's working, all that skin has to go somewhere. With his head down, it comes forward. It goes over his eyes. He'll walk into cars. He'll walk into a pole. He's using his nose to follow the scent wherever the scent may go. The average person loses 40,000 dead skin cells a minute. So while you're sitting in here, yeah, you know what he smells like back there, huh? Stratton's the only one in this building right now or in this room that can identify one person from a scent. We can tell if somebody set the fire, there's something burning, but Stratton can tell you what was put on the fire and so forth like that. But that's the outside of his body. His chest cavity is big because his heart and lungs are bigger than some dogs. And then everything gets into his nose and into the brain, and Terry's going to explain that to you.
The differences in the canine nose as compared to ours are pretty amazing. One thing, when you have a dog this size, you of course have much larger nostrils. They're going to take in more scent. They're also shaped differently than ours. Our nostrils are shaped like ovals. When we go to inhale to smell something, the air goes straight back through our nose. So does the scent. Their nostrils are shaped like an apostrophe. They have a round part and a narrow part, and they curve around. So when they go to scent something, it swirls around and covers the entire surface of the inside of their nose. Now, hopefully, since Stratton's nose goes from the base of his eyes to what we think of as the part of the nose without fur on it, you can tell that his nose is much longer than mine. Otherwise, I look pretty silly up here. In that big, long nose, there's close to 300 million cells to tell him what he's smelling. In our human noses, we have about 6 million. We still have a lot of cells packed into our little noses, but nothing like 300 million. All those cells have little hair-like projections on them called cilia, And the more cilia that are on a cell, the more sensitive it is, or the better job it can do. Every one of his cells has about 100 on them. Ours maybe 4, 5, or 6. So a much more sensitive cell. His nose is usually wet inside, wetter than our human noses. A wet, healthy nose can scent better than a dry nose. Just like their drool wakes up scent, so does the moisture of their nose. They also have a very well-developed Jacobson's organ. All mammals have it. It's practically non-existent in humans, but in dogs, it's very well developed. And Jim has a canine skull there. It's a coyote. It's actually the top part of the jaw. And he's going to point to a spot where there's 2 holes in the bone. Now, at the roof of a dog's mouth, there's a membrane-like skin, and there's a little tiny place called the papilla incisa, and scent can go through there and go into that organ, and they can scent therefore underwater and get certain molecules. So we have to train in every amazing place that they may have to locate somebody. We train in the city, we train in the woods, we train in fields, we train in towns and neighborhoods, and we train with finding scuba divers underwater as well. Stratton was able to work a case at Lake Redmond, so and locate the guy in the water. So it's an important part of what we do. Then all that scent gets to the brain. And you could just answer this out loud. Whose brain do you think is bigger, mine or the dog's? Are you trying to coach over there? I think they all know my brain's bigger. But you were trying to convince them it was the dog's. But anyway, yes, my brain is bigger. Your brain's, even Jim's brain, amazingly, is bigger than the dog's brain. However, the olfactory lobe, the part of the brain that tells us what we're smelling, is much larger in the dog than it is in the human. Jim has a walnut in his left hand, his right hand, I'm sorry. That's the size of the olfactory lobe in most dogs. The one in his left hand, that little orange ball, is the size of the olfactory lobe in our brain. So they get a lot more information than we do when we sense, so they need that larger capacity of their brain. If anybody's interested, I will be teaching a class at PSU through Ollie this year here in York, and it'll be on the canine nose anatomy and physiology, and I'll have different dogs there that do different scenting as well. So Jim already mentioned that you've all lost about 40,000 skin cells a minute, and probably our students could do the math in their head, but I'm not even going to try. When you take the number of people in here and the number of minutes you've been here and multiply it by 40,000, we have a lot of skin cells drifting around this room. And in a little bit, we'll show you how Stratton, in spite of that, is going to be able to locate somebody. But it becomes a matching game for the dog, where the dog follows wherever those skin cells went. And wind can move them, the airflow in this room can move them, but eventually the dog can cone in and get to the person, might indicate on evidence along the way, because anything that person touched or dropped is also going to smell like that person. But we need a way to tell the dog, out of all the people that are around, who we want them to find. And Jim's going to talk to you a little bit about scent articles for both our criminal cases and our missing person cases.
When we talk about getting calls for a criminal case or a missing person case, they put it in our ballpark because we have to find the best scent article possible to use to present to the dog so he knows what he's looking for. Now, of course, the best thing that we could have is a piece of your clothing that's been up against your body, your dead oils, your scent, dead skin cells, all collects to that. Present that to the dog. That's the best thing we can use. And the reason we use that is we put it in a plastic bag then to help build up moisture. And as we said, moisture intensifies the scent, which gives him a better chance to find what he's looking for. We're not always lucky enough to have that out. So we can use anything. In bank robberies, we use a note given to the teller. We use the area where they laid their arm on the on the bar. We can use anything when we look for scent articles. We have to think outside the box, and anything you've touched, anything you wore, any place you sit becomes a scent article because the oils, the sweat, and your dead skin cells cling to whatever. You grab somebody, we got you because you transferred your dead oil and your DNA to that item you grabbed. Used it very well in a case at Shippensburg College. A boy was running around groping girls. We were able to track him to a dorm room. Eventually, they got all the names of the kids in there and were able to convict him from that. We've worked arson cases where stuff has been burned up. We've worked explosion cases where a piece of the bomb or a piece of the item that was blown up. We can use anything as a scent article. So as long as we can present it to him, he's going to find whatever he's looking for. Now we're going to do a demonstration in here. A lot of people in here. And out of everybody in here, he's got to find one person by their scent. Now, who else can do that in here? Okay. All right. What's going to happen is Terry's going to be given a scent article. She's going to present it to Stratton. Stratton's going to be given a command word, and he's going to have to go to work. Out of everybody in here, he has to identify one person this item belongs to. And when he does, you'll see how he makes his identification. You'll see him get animated with his tail and all that stuff. But when he'll check the area, he'll make sure he's right before he does his ID. And I'll try to explain all that to you while he's working. But there was a children's book wrote a long time ago. A girl went to a ball and the clock was ringing and she ran away. Cinderella. Everybody remember Cinderella? What did she lose? Oh, very good. Sometimes we don't have a girl and we make it Cinderella, but anyhow, we're going to do Cinderella right now. And we're going to show you Prince Charming had a bloodhound. He wouldn't have to go to every door and smell all those stinky feet trying to shoe on. If he had a bloodhound, the bloodhound would tell him who the shoe belongs to. Are you ready? There's a slipper. It's not glass, so I could drop it if you want. Explain why you can touch it. I can touch it. He can rule me out. I'm right here. He's going to know it's not me because I've been touching it. If an item gets contaminated, we can eliminate that person by having him check that. Ooh, that smell that bad. So out of everybody in here now, Stratton's going to work this whole room. Every door it's open and all that just circulates in here. The scent is just swirling constantly. So when he gets to the right person, you'll see he makes his ID. Oh, the air conditioning kicked on. You seen his head kick up on that? But if he comes to you, just ignore him because he has to check everybody because this scent and even her scent that he's looking for is blowing on top of everybody. But when he gets to the person he wants, he will show Terry by making an ID that she has to testify to in court. Now you can see he doesn't want to leave that area for some reason, but he's going to make sure he's going to check everything. And that's one thing important about the bloodhound. He wants to make sure he's positive with his ID. There you go. Before he does it. Is that your slipper? All right. No. So out of all the scents and all the odors in this room, he was able to track out one odor and identify that person. I will get your slipper back to you shortly, okay? We have a collection of one-footed slippers, but with that being said, are there any questions that you want to ask about what we do and the dog does? Yes, sir. No.
It is on.
Red light. Turn the volume up.
Check, check. So now it's on. Fascinating. Thank you very much. Is it a common misperception from movies or TV that if somebody goes through water,
Oh, yeah.
they throw the scent off because you're talking finding a body in Lake Redmond?
I love
That's
that.
amazing.
I love that because you put anything in water and you watch it float, you'll see it work to the bank and collect along the bank. Scent is no different. When you get in that water, scent's coming off your body, and it's doing the same thing as a leaf or powder, and it'll cone to the embankment, and then they'll work the embankment till they find it. If they go upstream, oh, I love that because all the scent's coming down, which makes it easier for them. They just work right upstream. Yeah, it's always in a little off on that, and they're a little off on the pepper and everything else because you don't know where those skin cells are going to blow. So, yes.
What's involved with getting his signal as legally admissible evidence?
One, they have a reason to be out there, a probable cause. And when an article is presented to them, we testify that they have no idea who they're looking for. They were presented a scent article. And when they're presented a scent article looking for a human being, every time they work a trail, they'll work from the scent you're presenting them to a person and they'll jump up and ID on that person only. So that's our testimony that we give, that we follow a scent. When the dog follows a scent, and then he makes his ID. So Terry would testify the trail that she worked and how he made his ID. And then, of course, the police and the court system always wants that little extra in there. So that's where all the forensics and all the other stuff comes involved.
So just to add to that, over the years, we worked a lot of criminal cases and dogs forced out a lot of confessions and, we were able to testify in court. But now to make that even more court friendly, so to speak, York County has asked us to please satisfy Act 60, which means that he is certified every year in tracking. He also is certified in man trailing every year, even though they don't require that. And we train about 30 to 40 hours a month, but 16 hours has to be documented. So we train with Lieutenant Dave Godfrey with the York County Sheriff's Department. So we have that documented 16 hours of law enforcement training.
Yes.
Do you train the dogs? And if so, what is the age and what's the process you follow to train the dog for this type of work?
Every handler should train their own dog, and we do train all our own dogs. We start them at 8 weeks old when we get them. They're started with little puppy runaways, having somebody get them excited, and they can see that person out in the field, and they'll run to them and they get their praise and all happy. Well, eventually, that person that did that, they disappear. And when you get to that spot in the field, you'll see the nose goes down and that's when they start working. And then you just build up from that, anything you can imagine, following cars, anything. These dogs can do it, and you're a team out there. You're reading the body language, and you taught him what not to do.
I just wanted to point out that, like Jim's correct, every handler trains their own dog, but no handler trains their own dog by themselves. We started out with instructors down in Virginia that got us to where we needed to be, and now we are instructors and we instruct all over the country. But I came into this knowing nothing. Fortunately, I knew nothing, so I was willing to learn and absorb everything I can.
Thank you for your presentation. How often are you called out, and maybe how many times did Stratton serve, like last year?
Last year was 83 calls. 88 calls last year. We average between 75 and 100 call outs. And it's not always a missing person. It could be a lot of criminal work stuff too. They've been involved in some highly profile cases, the triple homicide down in Fayetteville. They were involved in the big arson case over in Lower Paxton where all the townhouses were being burnt down. So they were instrumental in helping convict the persons involved with that. Anybody else? Wow, way back up here.
Are you always successful, or what percentage of the time are you successful?
Thank you. Our dogs are about 95% successful. When I say that, we don't always get to the person we're looking for, but we have found evidence along the way. The dogs indicated that they were picked up in a vehicle, given direction of travel and so forth like that. We get a lot of feedback, and all our feedback is what we base everything on. And they're hitting it. It's just they tell you they were picked up. They were picked up by a car, and they do videos and stuff, and they look, and sure enough, that's where the dog said he was picked up, is what it was. Well, right now we're on a 95% rate.
I'm curious about how the dog communicates back to you. I mean, obviously, if they're interacting with the person and he stands up like he did on me, that's one thing. But if the person got picked up in a car, how does he confirm that?
That a vehicle pickup or a negative, we got many calls that we think we saw him here. We present the scent article to the dog. And when he does it, if it's not there, he'll circle, he'll yawn, he'll carry on, and eventually he'll come back and jump up on us. Same with a vehicle trail. He'll work a trail to a point where he loses it. He'll keep working wider circles, and we keep expanding it. He'll jump up when they end it. He gets pushed off and told to get back to work, and just keep expanding the circle until he finally says, we're done. I told you once, this is where we're at. So. Microphone.
Are you guys ever involved in cold cases? Does it have to be something that was pretty recent as far as when the person went missing or when they were picked up by that vehicle, or can they kind of go back years and years and figure things out?
It can be a cold case depending on the scent articles and the areas and so forth like that. We have worked cases that or work trails that have been month and almost year-long trails. The 2-year-old case.
So we were asked to work a 2-year-old case, and of course, we get any requests like that, I'll say we can try. We'll see if we can get anything for you, but I certainly don't promise anything. And the interesting thing about the 2-year-old case, which it is still unsolved, so I can't speak very specifically, but where Stratton actually indicated something happened when the FBI did Google tracking to try to see where possible suspects were, they found the suspects were exactly where Stratton said something happened. So we think we definitely got something there, and so does the FBI. So, we're always willing to try, and some handlers won't try some of the things we do because they feel it's going to have a negative effect on their percentage of success, but we will try anything for any department. And like someone far wiser than I am that was an instructor years ago said, always under promise and over deliver.
And that case is still going on right now. That's why I wasn't going to mention it, but it's a homicide case for sure. But next.
How many years of service, and are male hounds or female hounds better at this particular job?
The male and female makes no difference. You'll see a lot of handlers want a female dog because they're smaller and lighter when they have to pick them up over fences and so forth like that. But it makes no difference, male or female, they're equal. You know, Briggsy did this till she's semi-retired. Now Stratton's doing all of it. Briggs does finding ammunition and firearms now because her body's wearing out. She can't go the distance. So we found something that she can do. And plus she's our therapy dog. It goes into nursing homes and youth development center, and they meet with the kids there and so forth. She goes to public schools for troubled kids, and she's very busy. She's busier than Stratton. Yes, sir.
How many dogs do you have at any one time?
Well, we normally have 2 at one time. We were at 3 at one time. He is number 6. He is probably our last search dog because of what involved in doing search and rescue. We're probably going to keep doing the therapy work and so forth like that. But search and rescue requires a lot of training and a lot of footwork and everything. And not only do they wear out, so do the handlers. And we've trained every dog in York County. When the district attorney, the sheriff's department got their first bloodhound, Detective Lou. So Julio Mendez, the chief county detective, came to us and said, we have this dog, we don't know what to do with it. So we started and we trained Detective Lou through his years of service with Sergeant Sam Shipley, getting him through. And then when he retired, they got, West York had got Detective Prince. And Prince's handler left the department, so the sheriff's department now has Prince. Well, we trained Prince from a pup, and now we're retraining Prince with the new handler at the sheriff's department. West York has a new puppy that came on board, and we're training him. We've been training all the dogs that came into York County so far.
Jim, could you talk to Jim, could you talk to the members about the dog's unique home life and environment?
Everybody asks if they live with us. Well, they do live on our property, but they have their own house. They have a 16 by 20 cottage. They have a door they can go in and out whenever they want to. They have constant water. They have heat. They have a 3/4 acre playground out there with sliding boards and benches and everything else. So they are adapt to the climate whenever we need them. We get out of a nice warm bed and they're already out there. They're adapt. We're freezing, but they're okay to work trail. So that's why we keep them. That's why they have their own shed. So they are adapt to all the climates that they have to work in.
I have 2 questions. First of all, how are you compensated? And secondly, what is your succession plan? Are there handlers that are queued up who are going to take over for you when the 2 of you retire?
Well, right now we're 501c3, and Terry writes a lot of grants to Walmart and other agencies trying to get funding for us. Our annual budget is somewhere around 20,000, and that's because of the feed. Gasoline's really killing us. Newberry, you get a call in Delta, when we get there, oh, we found them. That's still out of our pocket, the gas and so forth. So, and I think Terry wants to comment on some of that.
So I will say the community that surrounds us has been very generous. I usually am able to pull in that amount of money. It's been a little harder since COVID because a lot of companies decided not to assist the small nonprofits anymore, but to go for the bigger causes. And of course, food, medical, there's a lot of things because of the COVID climate, especially at that time, that made funding go in a different direction. But it's the least favorite part of what I do. I like the training. I like the exercising of the dogs. I like working the dogs. I like doing the therapy work, but the business work has to be done as well. So, we just, continue to strive to be able to fund it. But I absolutely love this community that surrounds us for sure. So, and there was a second part of the question. You want
Succession planning. Do you have someone in line?
succession? So we, of course, have that pretty much established in York County. I think the York County Sheriff's Department, at least with the present powers that be, will always have a bloodhound. We have another handler that's young enough to keep going for a while. That's a civilian handler. And I'm doing my best to try to get Cumberland and Dauphin County, the other end of the world that we get a lot of calls in, along with Adams County, to see if we can get people started in this. So. Oh.
There are brochures and trading cards at your table. Please take them because they'll tell you all about us. Has our email address on there. If you have any questions, you can email us, call us, or whatever, as far as that goes. We will stick around if anybody wants to see the dog here then.
Thank you. For any of you who are still non-believers in the dog's capabilities, I would invite all members after this program to take turns sniffing Sarah's shoes and feet. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for being a good sport. I have to say this program was one of the more enjoyable presentations we've had this year, but despite being fascinating, let's not forget what's really important, that Terri, Jim, and Stratton are solving cases and saving lives. It doesn't get any more service above self than that. Thank you both for your presentation and your service to our community. In honor of today's programs, Terri and Jim have signed the book platelet in the book A Testament of Hope by Martin Luther King Jr. and will be donated to the School of William Penn Senior High School, along with the bookmark made by the students at Creative York. And if you thought this was a great program, wait till you hear what we have planned for next week. Next week, we're going to hear from York City Police Commissioner Michael Muldrow, who, along with his key program leads and strategic partners, will give us a review of the progress of the York City Police Department last year, this year, and beyond, as well as an update on the York City Police Reprogram Rec Center project. Having said that, have an amazing Rotarian week. This meeting is adjourned.